guys, David here. Got a different angle going on today. I try something different. I'm gonna got a package to open, a box opening, a YABO. It's a small box. I know what's in it, but I wanted to do a quick video. So, yeah, contains tobacco products. Signature of person 21 years of age or older required for delivery. Yep, they woke me up during my nap this afternoon. So let's get this open, see what's in it. First of all, this beautiful knife made by Dwight Walker. Gonna give it some use today. Supposed to cut away from yourself. Just that's why you kids know not to cut yourself. Always cut away from yourself. Newspaper. I always got to see what date it is, where it's from. It's vintage, 4th of July, 2025. Spanish newspaper. This package is from Payless Cigar Consumer, St. Petersburg, Florida. Anyway, that's what I ordered. 2 tins of Ennerdale. I don't think I've ever tried Ennerdale. It's an aromatic. It's got with Hogarth product, and I've heard some good things about it. It's either a love or hate thing. Some people really like it, some people don't. But I was listening or watching Northwoods Maine Piper. Jason, I'm not good at these channel names, but anyway, Jason, who always reads us the wonderful Grimm's fairy tales, he had some of this, and it sounded pretty good, so I thought I'd try some. So anyway, that's my box opening. Now, turn this around a bit. I posted some those drone videos earlier. I had a fun time with the drone today, and I had a lot of footage. I was trying to go through there and edit out some of the boring stuff, but I had the crash in at one point. I think I edited that out accidentally, but unfortunately, there will be others probably. Well, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop the tin and try a bowl. So I'm going to stop this video, and I will start again in a few minutes. I have my remote to this camera, to the tripod, but unfortunately my Bluetooth pairing on my new iPhone is rather sketchy, so it's not working. So I'll have to do it manually and try to edit that out. Maybe not. Now I think I see the problem. There's a little piece of tape here. That's the problem, and I'm pretty dumb. Okay, guys, I'm back. Well, you wouldn't believe what I had to do to get this open. This tin of Ennerdale, I'm going to take in the house, get pliers, twist up on the edges, got a screwdriver, pried it, and I finally got it open. And then, of course, after beating the tin up, we greeted with this nice insert of the got with Hogarth factory. I'm not sure circa what year. Smells really interesting. Let's see what this is all about. Of course, I bent the tin up so much you can't get the insert out. Got some nice dark flake here. I'm really anxious to try it out. So there you go, a little close up. Very well packed together. Ennerdale Flake. And I got my little Peterson tankard pipe. I love this pipe, but I don't like the way the oxidization occurs on the stem. I tried to sand it a little bit, but anyway, still kind of bad looking. Anyway, we're going to try this out. And since it's flake, I'm going to rub a little bit out here. I've got this little leather tray here that was made for me very generously by, what's his name over in the UK? I cannot remember his name. What is his name? Dang it. It's been a while. I'll think of it and I'll post it in the video. I apologize, my friend. I use this thing all the time. It was so nice that he sent it to me all the way across the pond. I can't even remember his channel name at this point. I guess I'm getting old. The old synapses aren't connecting like they used to. I'm telling you. It's a real thing. That reminds me, some sad news. My mother-in-law, Diana, my wife's mom, she is 79, recently diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease. We knew she was having some memory issues and having a hard time finding words. We knew something was going on. We were just kind of hoping it was old age, but she went into a neurologist and an MRI and CAT scan and diagnosed with Alzheimer's. Moderate, I guess it's at this point moderate, I would say. So her name was Diana. If you could offer up a prayer on her behalf. So anyway, let's get this pipe packed here. My terribly precise method of packing. It seems to work though. I don't want to go too tight because it's a little on the moist side. Sometimes the flakes can be difficult to negotiate a good light. So I have to get this jarred up because this tin obviously isn't going to do much to keep the tobacco fresh. But for right now, we'll put it all back in there along with a nice little piece of cardboard there. All right, let's see what's up here. Let me adjust the camera a bit. There. Oh, gotta get my matches for the initial light. All sorts of lighters, but there's something neat about a match. Again, the tobacco tin that my daughter Emily got for me, full of matches and a striking. You can get about a bunch of these things for $5, little striking plates, and because they do wear out, as you can see. This has some mileage on it, so. All right, let's see what we can do here. My little ashtray, rubber, with a knocker on it. I like it. So far, so good. I have to buy the lighter. Virginia Burley and sun-cured tobaccos with flavors of almonds, vanilla, and fruit. I'm not very good at picking out fruit or almond flavors, but I do like it. I like the taste. While I'm thinking about the flavor here, I'll tell you a little bit my past week or so. A week ago today, on Friday, last Friday, I was invited to read a couple of books at my wife's school. My wife's a first grade teacher, and they have a community reader day, and it's all about the Dr. Seuss's birthday, which was I think this past Monday. But our school administrators like to plan things on a weird day, so they did this Read Across America thing on Friday. So I told my wife I'd be interested in doing it. So that was about a month ago. And the last time I did this was probably been 15 or 20 years ago. And I just read one book in her classroom, and it was fun. And I went home, and that was all it was. But this year, um, she told me that I might be reading in several classes. So what the heck? That'll be fun. So anyway, I didn't think any more about it until, of course, last Thursday. She said, "Well, do you have your books picked out?" I said, "No, but I'll find something." So she had a couple of suggestions for me. One book was called How to Babysit a Grandpa, which I thought sounded appropriate since I'm a grandpa and may someday need to be babysat. So I read through it. It was a funny book. And she said, "Well, you might want to pick a second book." So there was a little book called um, Pretzel. It was about a dachshund. Since I am a dachshund owner, or at least half dachshund, half poodle owner, I thought this would be appropriate. So I took both those books and I had it out. But before that, though, the night before, I started getting kind of nervous. I don't know why. I can read. I've read the kids numerous times, but my wife was fine. But I thought I got to read in front of two other teachers that I don't even know, so that might be awkward. So I started kind of feeling stressed out. That morning I woke up, and that's all I could think about was having to go. You know, when you're retired, you forget you forget the stress involved in meeting with other people and having to talk with people and be civil and decent and nice and smiley, polite, dressing appropriately, which means not wearing this jacket with holes all over it, no shirts with holes. I could even check the armpits because I'll be wearing a nice T-shirt that I think is wonderful, no other holes in it, and I'll be just doing whatever when we're out. So my wife will say, "Did you realize you have a hole in your armpit of your T-shirt?" Mm-mm. I say, "Well, it doesn't matter. No one's going to see that." She reminds, "Well, sometimes you raise your arms or stuff like that. Someone's going to see it, and you're not going to wear that anymore out." She relegated that T-shirt to my pile of T-shirts that I just wear for the heck of it around the house. That's a growing stack of T-shirts. This shirt, my manner shirt, is one of those because I got holes from smoking my pipe in front of a fan. So this is another shirt that was relegated to the don't wear out of the house pile, although I wore it to the park today. Anyway, so I went there. I was supposed to be there at 8 o'clock 7:30 last Friday. 8 o'clock. The office opens at 7:30. I was to be there at 8. So I showed up about 10 to 8 on this parking spot, which was about a block from the school because the school's parking lot was full of other people, probably other readers like myself. So anyway, went through the office. They're very nice and appreciative. I got a little folder with my name tag and a map of the campus and my schedule. So said, "Welcome, Mr. Caff. You are going to be reading in 3 classrooms. Mrs. Caff, Mrs. Tabar, and Mrs. somebody else, whose name I don't recall." Anyway, 3 teachers. So 20 minutes a classroom, 10 minutes in between each one. So my wife had told me, "We'll get something to eat in the cafeteria. They're going to have a special breakfast for the readers and go in there and, they'll have a couple things for you." And Penny, good grief, this dog. Anyway, when this cafeteria, they had all this food and coffee and orange juice and bagels everywhere and all kinds of goodies and all these people. Well, before I could get to the cafeteria, I was walking by the girls' restroom on my way, and out came about 15 cheerleaders from North High School. They all look like they're about 10 years old. It's funny when you're in high school, you think the cheerleaders are all grown up and big girls, but these girls are all like little kids looking. So I followed this group of about 15 cheerleaders to the cafeteria. Immediately felt out of place because there are a lot of people there. And they're all talking and sitting together at these big long tables. And I wandered around and found the welcoming committee at the cafeteria. Again, they told me, thanks for showing up, help yourself to some breakfast. And there's a hat here. They had all these hats, these Dr. Seuss hats that you could wear, like stocking caps, but really large. Like a top hat, but made of, you know, stocking material. And all the wild colors, orange and pink and green. And I don't know. I didn't think they were very becoming, so I didn't get one. I grabbed my little candle that they'd made for us. Found a seat just so I could see what was going on in this binder that they gave me. I guess that's where I picked up the little folder actually with the schedule. So looked in there, found my name, found where I was going to go, what time. After about 5 minutes, I didn't get any food. I just felt awkward. So I moseyed on down to my wife's classroom. She had me sit at the horseshoe table in the back of her classroom where she puts the naughty kids. So I sat there for a minute and was greeted by all of her first graders, giving me strange looks. They didn't know who I was at this point. After a few minutes of watching them do their thing, she said, well, Mr. Caff, would you like to come forward? And so I got up, and the first thing that shot out of his mouth was, is that your dad? Which I thought was kind of funny. Her hair is not gray. Mine obviously is. So she explained it was her husband. Another kid asked me how old I was. And I said, how old do you think I am? He said, I think you're 93. I said, well, just got a few years to go, but not quite yet. Kids are funny. So I read the story. I showed the story to you guys, but I don't have the book with me. Anyway, it's a funny book about how to care for your grandpa. First, he shows up, you're supposed to hide and all this stuff. So it was a funny. Anyway, I read the book, and as I was reading, this other group came. These two football players. They again looked like they were about 10 years old too. Nah, they looked like about 15. Anyway, which they may have been. They showed up. They read their book. One kid, I was surprised. He had full-on sleeves on, or a sleeve on his left arm, his right arm. He was kind of a big football guy, but his whole arm was tattooed in high school. Do they allow that? Man, the world has changed. Anyway, they read a book. And my wife said, you can come up and read another one if you want. So I got Pretzel, this book called Pretzel. Pretzel's a funny little, dachshund who falls in love with another little dachshund. But she tells him she does not like long dogs. And she must have said that 10 times. And each time I said long dog, another word came to mind that I shall not repeat. But I was so paranoid that I would slip and say that other alternative to long dog that I almost started sweating. But I made it through. I didn't make any mistakes, luckily. That would have been horrible. Anyway, I didn't. So finished that. Took off to the next room, Mrs. Tabar's room. I didn't read Pretzel this time. I just read how to babysit your grandpa. So I did that. They asked me other questions. Kids have funny questions. One kid asked if I was a teacher, and I said, well, I have been a teacher in the past. I was a junior high teacher, and then I taught men at a prison. Man, the eyes got big. All the eyes were bugging out of these kids' heads. And the teacher goes, he's not in prison. He was working at a prison. So I said, oh, yeah, I got to come every night. But apparently that was a big deal. I think a lot of the parents, some of the fathers were in prison. So the teacher wanted to clarify that I wasn't an inmate or hadn't been in prison to stay just as a teacher. So anyway, that was fine. That was room two. I got a strange little noise coming here. I don't have any pipe cleaners with me, so I will continue regardless. So I went to the third room, read the same book, how to babysit a grandpa, was asked more questions. The good news is I didn't have to stay 20 minutes in either of those two. They had other people that showed up when I was finishing, so I only had to read the one story. So I did that. That was fun. Came back home, put my yucky clothes back on again, and relaxed and did whatever else I needed to that day. Allow me to get a pipe cleaner bag here. See if I can get rid of this strange noise. It's a P-lip, so let's see if I can do this. Yeah, so get some moisture out of this thing. Might do it. Let's see. I think that did it. All right. So that was Friday. Sorry, you guys are getting extended visit with me tonight. I'm really liking the Ennerdale Flake. So that was Friday. The weekend was nice. Monday, I started thinking about a whole different subject now. We're off the stories. This is an entirely different subject because that's my brain works. We still got that noise. Oh well. I've got this computer in my garage. For years, I used to build PCs as a hobby for people and myself. And then a long time ago, I went into a local computer store and saw the brand new 24-inch white iMac. I thought it was beautiful, the most beautiful computer I'd ever seen. So since that time, I've been a Macintosh fan. Always worked with PCs at work, but at home, I have always had a Macintosh computer, the iMac. So that finally died. Back then, though, I remember that Apple Computer released an awesome computer called the Mac Pro. This would have been about 2010, so over 15 years ago, but it was really expensive, like $5,000. But it was like a PC, and it was a tower, a big tower, but it was all components. I mean, you could slide the side off. The hard drives were on trays. You could slide in and out. Very easy to work on, get to, but expensive. So although I thought it was awesome, I could never afford one. Didn't think any more about them. So, but about 6 or 7 years ago, I started wanting to get one. I heard of people rebuilding these things, or building them. They were still usable at that point. And you could find them for about $150. So I found some at an office in Los Angeles. I forget how I found the ad, but I learned of these computers on sale. So I took a trip to LA, picked up about, I guess, 3 of the Mac Pros and a bunch of Apple monitors, cinema displays, really nice, for $50 each for the displays, $150 for the towers. So picked up actually 2 towers and I bought 4 or 5 displays, brought them back home. My idea was to have two 24-inch displays on my desk along with the Mac Tower underneath my desk. So um, I put a new central processing unit in the tower, put some hard drives in there, put the monitors on my desk, and it was wonderful. I mean, it was a perfect solution for me. So I use that. I've been using that up until about 3 months ago, and I finally decided, because you couldn't upgrade the software anymore. Apple has a way of doing that. They lock you out after a while. You can no longer upgrade old hardware. So I haven't been able to update it, but it was still working fine. But at some point, I decided to get a little computer. So I bought a little desktop PC. It's like a mini computer, 16 gigabytes of RAM, 1 terabyte solid state hard drive, works great. But I've had this old Mac Pro in my garage for a long time. I kept looking at it thinking, I cannot throw that thing away. I got to see what I can do. So I looked into it, did some work with GPT, and found that I could turn it into a Linux server. So I've got a lot of hard drives. I've got a 28 terabyte hard drive and a couple of 8 terabytes. And you may ask, what do you need all that space? Well, it makes about as much sense as all the tobacco that I have. It's just a lot of space. You can store a lot of things. All the movies that we've had on DVDs, all the music on CDs. I've digitized all those things. Plus, I've downloaded a lot of other music and movies. So what's neat though is you can have your own collection and you can watch those on your TV by using an application called Plex. So Linux, I've heard this before. I've used Linux in the past, but Linux is a whole different operating system. So through researching through Chat GPT, I found out that Linux was a modern operating system that was still being updated, and you could install Linux on a hard drive. I had a 1 terabyte hard drive, and you could basically download it for free, install it. So, but it's all command line work. It's like the old MS-DOS. It's not GUI, graphical user interface. In other words, there are no buttons, on the screen. You don't you don't click on things. You simply use your keyboard and you copy and paste these commands like sudo space make directory slash anyway, all these things. So I installed Linux, and what's neat about Linux is you can access that from anywhere. So you can go online, type in your IP address, 168.127, but anyway, and access your files. So I installed Linux on my computer, and it was awesome. It was a lot of fun. I enjoyed doing that. Well, the next day I got up and it turned itself off. So I found out my power supply had died. So luckily I had a spare Mac Pro up on a shelf. So I was able to get the old power supply out of that and put in the new one, the one I'm currently using. So anyway, got that all going, and it was fun. And it's up and running now. And I'm going to be putting all my movies on there so we can stream all the movies. The problem is I had my new little computer streaming movies, but the hard drive enclosure box that I had to hold my 5 or 6 hard drives is much slower than the old Mac Pro because the drives are mounted inside the actual computer. So it's like it's like a freeway speed compared to a side road. Just 1 second. Okay, I'm back. So anyway, I get this all up and running and find a lot of fun things to do with the Linux service. So that's a learning thing I enjoy doing. Anyway, I won't keep you guys any longer. I can't tell how long the video's been since I just restarted, but it's been a long video. So I'm enjoying the Ennerdale Flake. I'd encourage you to get some if you've not tried it before. Thanks, Jason, for mentioning this after one of your stories. I'm really enjoying this, and I really enjoy your stories. I wish I could remember the name of his channel besides the main Northwoods Main Piper. Anyway, I don't know. Again, synapses failing to connect efficiently or effectively. Well, guys, thanks for hanging out with me for all this time. I appreciate y'all. God bless you, and I'll talk to you soon. Have a nice evening and a great weekend.